Welcome back. I got a lot of good feedback on my first video. I'm super excited about that. Today's gonna be a little bit different. I made about $500,000 trading this last 30 days. So I wanted to do a little performance check, review, talk about what assets I traded, why I took those trades, and my outlook on the next 30 days and what I expect from market. So let's jump right into that. We're gonna move to my computer and we'll keep the vlog stuff for another day. All right, what's up guys? We are at a new setup here. This is my computer, second video back, and this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna do a little performance review of our first 30 days in April, and then talk about the market and what I think will be happening in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, the whole nine. So let's start with a little performance review. This is my Bybit. It's been a pretty eventful 30 days trading here. This is where I've taken on most of my perps positions. I also trade on 3 other perps exchanges, so I would not say that this is the sole exchange of trading. I do a lot of spot trading too through an OTC desk, and that OTC desk I also did really well trading. Had very similar returns with no leverage at the OTC desk. But nonetheless, I started the account with about $100,000, drew down to $80,000, and then from 80, I spun it up to about 400 and change. I withdrew at every large increment. So if I had an insane day trading, like if I made 120 grand, then I would withdraw so that the basis was 150. And because that was essentially my risk limit, was the account, which is not how I recommend anybody trade, but I do very well trading in this manner. So I continue to do so. Anyways, total P&L of about $298,000 with 54 million in trading volume. That's on the lower side. I find myself doing more about 100 to 200 million in trading volume minimum per month, but this was a different sized month. I didn't size up positions. Like my average position size for Solana was 10,000 Solana, when traditionally in the past it's been anywhere from 10 to 50,000 Solana, or 20,000 realistically. A total of 90 positions, 77 of these were long, 13 of them were short. My win rate was 65% with an average trade duration of about 13 hours. You can see the best trades I took here. This was originally about 50,000, but I tried, like I rescalped it and I took a little bit of a loss. So final conclusion was about $35,000 trading Trump, and so on and so on. These are all of the positions taken, and just so if anybody thinks I'm lying, I'll refresh the page. There's no inspect element here. Trading I do is real trading. I even trade spot assets, as you can see, automatically went to my spot, and I did about $1 million in spot, which is nothing. It was a really small account, so to do that was simple. But nonetheless, this was a pretty successful month on Bybit. Like I said, very similar performance on my OTC desk. On chain, I had a pretty good run too. In my Telegram, if you're in it, I posted Tibber at about, it was 16 million or 18 million. Right now, Tibber's at 32 million. I have not sold. I have a pretty solid position in Tibber. It's nothing crazy, but I haven't really taken crazy on-chain trades since February. So this has been a solid run on paper, right? But enough about performance. I will talk about why I took that Solana trade here in a moment. We'll start by looking at what Bitcoin did over the last 30 days. It reached this absolute low, which I had anticipated 73. Nonetheless, I still got spot fills at around 75 to 78. And that was at my OTC desk, which I ended up selling at about, I sold some at 84, I sold some at 88. And then I sold some at 93, and I hold a little bit. By the way, I gotta say that I have a spot portfolio I don't touch. These are my trading portfolios. So everything I mentioned, I'm a long-term bull on all of these positions, mostly Bitcoin, Solana, and ETH. So I have portfolios that I don't touch. Everything we discussed here is my trading portfolio. Anyways, the reason I took that Solana trade was because it was kind of obvious. The low time frame structure just really spoke to me. We dipped into sub 100. And then as we started to chat up, I had like an inkling. It's really hard to really describe when you've been in the space for so long. But when you can just look at price action and kind of deduce things that you can't explain. To me, at first, it was here, and then it was a little bit of distribution drawdown. So I took a trade here that wasn't as big. I think I made 25,000 on my desk in this area. This dip here was the most obvious spot for me. So this is where I took that Bybit long, which you guys saw on the Telegram, and it was a pretty simple invalidation once I put the risk on. If I zoom out, you'll see it kind of had this support resistance area right here. So this was like an SFP almost in a way, a higher time frame SFP if you go to the daily or weekly, and then this was a really swift reaction that I wanted to see, and that's what gave me the confidence to stay in the trade. So I put on the risk, swift reaction over, I don't know, a day, and then good development. This was a solid fake out. I actually ended up taking half of the position off around here. We added a little bit here, and then I TP'd along the way. I posted screenshots in Telegram so you guys saw, every high I essentially took a little bit of profit off. I ended up closing out the entire position at about 149, which is cool because now we're at 145. Nonetheless, that was the bigger trade of the account, so we'll just stick with that one. Moving on to what I think is going to happen next. Bitcoin is facing a massive resistance that I essentially pointed out about a month ago. This was the trade setup that I put on a month ago for the longs, and this was the target. We've reached the target. So I've taken off most of the risk, and now I'm mostly scalping. What I've done is put on a short position, mostly to hedge my long exposure, and it's not even a one-to-one of my native portfolio. It's really just a hedge so that I can make my trading account look pretty. That being said, fairly simple. I don't want it going above 96. If it starts to cruise above 96, any significant closures, I'm longing, targeting 102. As of now, I kind of want to see this area filled down to 90, 89 maybe, and then continuation higher. I'll hold this scalp short, this hedge short right into about this region. This is what I would consider an inefficient drive. I've talked about it on streams before, but this is the value area that I want to see touched. Probably take the short off on the way down. I don't plan on holding it all the way to 89, 88. I'll probably be long in this area. For Ethereum, I'm super bullish Ethereum. I really like this setup on a long, higher time frame, so it's a really good spot hold. I posted this setup on Twitter. These were two really good fake outs within an absolutely insidious downtrend that was finally broken about a month ago, or 2 weeks ago, really. And now we have a flagging pattern that's forming at the 17th area. I think we're kind of in a little micro range. So this is more realistic of a range, something like this. We're at range high, we go to range low, and then we go higher. So I'll be putting on immense Ethereum long risk in the low 1700s, and I'm targeting about 2400. So I'm pretty excited about that trade. I think it'll be a good one for the next 60 days. That covers most of my... Actually, let's go back to Sol, because I haven't put the trade back on, but I really want to. I think the ultimate target for the Sol trade that I'm eyeing out is about 170. 174 is a really good region of interest. The ultimate goal was this candle was kind of what I was targeting on the initial long. I took it off early. I would have made about 400,000 on just the Sol long, but I ended up making very similar amounts of money, taking this off, trading other assets nonetheless. This is the goal, 174 for the first TP. It falls into play with this weird candle that we got about 2 months ago. I think this was relevant to the ETF or something along the lines. I can't remember, but it scammed everybody. I want to see that play out, and that also falls in line with a very high time frame resistance. As you can see, this is like a range, I would say, and you get a lot of you either get bounces in this area, you get about 3 bounces, or major rejections. So this was the first major rejection, and then support turn resistance. This was the second major rejection. That'll be a big interest inflection point for me on Solana. Another trade I really like, two actually. I like Pepe as ETH beta because I'm long ETH immensely. So I think that Pepe can be pretty good catch-up trade. And what beta means is volatility. So if ETH moves 2% in either direction, then I can expect Pepe to move 5, 6, 7, 8%. There's an actual unit measurement, but I reference beta as in volatility towards an asset. And if I'm long an asset and I want to capture more of that long, then I would long beta assets in lieu of just longing the original. I can put smaller positions on Pepe and, long $200,000, $400,000 worth of Pepe and get incredible risk returns along with it. So I'm going to start building a long position with any dips that may be given. Overall target, kind of get this bottoming structure, but you got to be really careful trading assets like this because they are extremely volatile. They're beta in themselves. So if you put on leverage and then have a tight, risk management for them, you end up getting stopped out. Not really what you want to do. It's mostly a spot trade. Maybe something like this, dip back into here, 5%, 10%, put on some risk to then target a nice RR. You get about 2.66 risk reward ratio. That's what I tend to find most of my positions trading at. So I'll look for a setup like this as well. What else? Actually, I like Bonk as well, especially with the new Bonk launchpad. The numbers are pretty good, and I think it'll accrue value as people trade on the chain. But similar situation, if I get any significant dip, then I'll be looking to put on risk. There's a chance this breaks down. So I'll really be updating tier 1 traders. If you're not a tier 1 trader, click the link below. If you want to become a tier 1 trader, it's an exclusive private group community of like-minded traders who are absolutely crushing it. Launched recently, and they'll be getting, the first of everything I do. Telegram, Discord, exclusive live streams, and educational content. If you are an aspiring trader or are just a good trader and you need a community or you need somebody to peer review what you've learned and done, this is the spot for you. I am in two stock positions that I really like. One of them is Robinhood. Pretty bullish Robinhood. I think ultimately it trades significantly higher. I fucking crushed the Robinhood trade from like $8 to $60. And I made really good money there. And then I also made really good money on Palantir. These are two stocks that I'm holding for the long term. These aren't going to be, scalps or trades. These are just long-term positions for myself. And then the final position, that are actually two more. Alibaba, I love, absolutely love. China tariffs, you actually can see the setup I put on Twitter not too long ago. It's been 2 months and it's crushing. I took off a lot here, I re-added here, and ultimately I want 180s. The final position that I wanted to discuss for stocks was GME and MicroStrategy. Both are also Bitcoin beta. As we discussed, beta's volatility. If I expect Bitcoin to do well, then I may put on GameStop or MicroStrategy positions simply because they added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. That being said, they kind of perform how Bitcoin will perform. I traded GME calls earlier in the month as well. Did pretty well on them. Traded MicroStrategy calls, same shebang. I ended up buying some GameStop at $20, just underlying stock that I probably plan to sell around $50. So a nice 2x. MicroStrategy looks pretty sick. I showed a few people on this trade today. I think it's just kind of going through another market cycle. This was a big explosion in the fall of last year where I made a lot of money trading calls. And then we got some drawdown, and maybe we can get another leg targeting new highs throughout the year if Bitcoin also goes up. These are stocks that are reliant on crypto to go up. So they're beta to Bitcoin and crypto. If you're ultimately bullish crypto and Bitcoin, then these are great trades. So that concludes this video. I'm going to be posting a video every single Sunday. This is the second video back on YouTube. If you like what you see, subscribe. Give me some feedback. What assets do you guys want to see? I'm constantly reviewing assets in tier 1 traders. And also just let me know what you enjoy watching. I'm going to be making another vlog next week. I've got to do a little bit of traveling this week, and maybe I can film some stuff with the boys, get some cool stuff out. So I ended up buying a car. It gets here in a few days. So when it gets here, I'll make a video with that car, and maybe you guys will find that entertaining. Let me know what you guys want to see. Thanks for watching. See you around.